Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome to another episode of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we are talking about the mini-series Slingshot. There's so much good stuff tonight to talk about tonight, and we have a very special guest joining us a little later on. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I am so excited for this treat we get, guys. Is this like Marvel's way of giving us a little Christmas miracle?
You know, sometimes you send a thought out to the universe and then it just comes back to you.
Like a, what would you call that? A boomerang? No.
Yeah, I gotta say boomerang.
Boomerang,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
something that comes back.
Yeah, that checks out.
I would call it a web series.
You know, if anyone should have a web series, it should be Spider-Man.
Yeah, you would think. One would think.
Get out.
Welcome to the punishment zone.
I will let that one slide because it looks like it physically hurt Zach. Now you understand my pain. Hi, guys. It's so good to be back. We are back this week to talk about the miniseries Slingshot. Let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic panel. To my left, Jesse Klein.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I am so excited to talk about this, nice little present we were given. It was such a pleasant, enjoyable story that was really well told. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number one.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, you find me at that Zach Wilson. This was like Marvel just wanted to give us a Christmas present.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do this.
Not at all.
But they went out of their way. They're like, you know what? You guys have been real good.
Yeah.
We're just we thought about it. Mom and Dad got together.
We made our list. We checked it twice. You guys deserve a little something.
We wrapped it all up in a nice YouTube bow.
And I'm right there with you guys. I am super excited to talk about this tonight. And I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. We are going to be following along with the hashtag ABTVMarvel, as well as keeping an eye on the live chat. Thank you, good sir. And guys, if you haven't already done so, please go to iTunes to rate, subscribe, leave a comment. We love hearing from you. And it is the best way to let our producers know that you like the show that we're putting on, so that at the last minute we can do things like this and talk about things like Slingshot when they appear out of nowhere, out of the ether, and surprise us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 100% thanks to our producers and your guys' support that allows us to do that. And I know we're at 616, guys. I know that's very special.
Yeah,
it's kind of a big deal.
iTunes didn't move from last week. Look, we all got real excited, but now we got to get to 667 or something.
Exactly.
We got to get to the Ultimate Universe eventually.
What was the Ultimate Universe's number?
It's not a number we will get to.
It's pretty high up there, but yeah. And like I said, we do have a special guest calling in to talk to us about this miniseries tonight.
1610.
Yeah,
1610. Okay,
Get
guys.
us to 1,610 ratings, guys. It's on you.
Yep. And we will give you an ultimate treat if you happen to do that. I don't know what that would be, but it will be an ultimate treat. Anyway, so guys, this was a very special Christmas present from Marvel to us Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. I want to know, how do you guys feel about this lovely little stocking stuffer we were given just before the holiday?
I mean, it's such a nerdy, nice thing, because really nothing really happened. We saw some backstory and some filler information, but there was no real story. But this is for people who are fans of the show and for people who read comic books, this is a nice break book or a break episode where you just get to see this little nice thing that happened.
This was
a one-shot.
It was a one-shot or an
Yeah.
annual. It was just an excuse to tell a story about a character that they don't have time to focus. Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've said it a lot on this podcast, it is a show that manages to compact so much content into every episode that we have trouble covering it in the time that we're allotted each week.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys,
Because they get in so many storylines. It never feels like it's too overloaded, but they do get a lot in there. So Yo-Yo just doesn't. She's just one of the characters that sort of had to fall to the wayside.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is us filling in some of those gaps, like because we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm talking about how we can't really adequately cover, you know, the show's 40 minutes of content and usually an hour and then plus of discussion. It says a lot about the show, and our producers hate us. I feel so bad.
We're
We
the
always
last
go
show
over.
of the night.
Yeah. But yeah, it really says a lot. There's so much like packed into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that it is so easy for a character like Yo-Yo, who is awesome and badass in her own right, to get overlooked in the grander scheme of things. And so getting her revenge quest and getting to see her interact with literally every member of the team it really is. It's a wonderful treat.
Yeah. And I don't even know if overlooked. It's just like there's only so much time, and not everyone gets that time.
Yeah,
Like you gotta give Daisy her time. You gotta give Coulson his time, and then like the rest is scraps for everyone else that they're picking up, because those are the two main characters.
Yeah.
Like, and those are usually the A and B plots, and the C and D plots are the other characters. And we're lucky that the writers and the showrunners like are really good at making it feel like it's an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really happy to see like what it looks like just day to day Yo-Yo
Yeah.
at S.H.I.E.L.D. And like, you know, it answered a lot of questions, because we're like, what did the Sokovia like Accords even do to this world? Like we didn't really feel it in the show when it came back after Captain America. And this like helped answer some of those questions we had.
Yeah, I mean the Sokovia Accords obviously have played a role in this season. Towards S.H.I.E.L.D.'s like re-implementation. So to see the little details like, oh, if you violate the Accords, like it's written in there that General Ross
to that ocean prison.
comes and takes you. He gets real red in the face,
Red Hulk
and he takes you to the raft.
He does it quick like a thunderbolt.
And yeah, like it really is cool to see what a trip to S.H.I.E.L.D. is like through Yo-Yo's eyes, and what it's like during this very uncertain period, because this is literally right in the thick of the transition. You know, nobody's really sure what to make of Mace. Everybody is still deferring to Coulson in some way, shape, or form as the leader, even though he's like, no, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, bring this to the other guy. So like, Yo-Yo's in a very interesting, in all honesty, this is probably the best place for her as a character to have gone on this mission, and for like story-wise for this to take place, because it's the one time she really could have gotten away with it.
Sure.
Because it was the, you know, everything again was still kind of in transit, and it was that brief period where she could have gotten away with it, where May was in a position to allow her to do it, even after catching her.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, good all the way around.
Yeah,
Those are really fun scenes.
It was fun to see, and this part like we have our special guest calling in a few minutes, and I definitely want to talk to him. Like the idea of doing a prequel like this, is. It makes sense in a way. Like it helps us get back into like where Yo-Yo was all this time.
Yeah.
And just and like we were talking about the Sokovia Accords, but like seeing an Inhuman and enhanced person have to make that decision, and the pieces that go into it, we'll start at the top of the whole show. That's of Slingshot.
It also retroactively, you know, last week we talked about how it felt like the Mac and Yo-Yo thing kind of felt weird, and like
because they barely seen each other.
They'd barely seen each other, and we hadn't really seen them in a long time. And like, yeah, there'd been flirtation, but there hadn't been like.
But here he overtly asks her out on a date.
Yeah, so it kind of retroactively made that scene better from last week.
I'm your case manager.
Yeah.
And then when she's not jumping for joy, he's like, I thought you'd be excited.
Yeah.
And they make him. It was interesting the way that they shot Mac, because they shot him so much in like an
he was right in her space,
an up angle, and like he almost was like dark when he first like lit very dark when he first walked in, like threatening. And then he's like, No, I'm just like,
I want to take you to dinner. Is
he's
that
like,
okay?
I just had a little crush, you know?
It is so funny again to see such an imposing character who carries a shotgun axe with him.
Sure.
And it's the best thing ever. But yeah, it is really funny to see him go. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he is a very big teddy bear. He is just this wonderful, lovable guy, and it's really fun to watch him kind of turn to putty in her hands. It's so cute, and I like them together.
Yeah,
So
it was good seeing that. Yeah, and also we got some Peggy. We got a little bit of Pegs.
let's talk about this scene between her and Coulson, because Elena, as a person, has never been very trusting. Even though she's come to help out on numerous occasions, she's never been very trusting of the bureaucracy, of the establishment, of S.H.I.E.L.D. in general. She'll help out, but it's always in a very reluctant sort of fashion. And so having this moment between her and Coulson where he's stepping down with a box and the axe that chopped off his hand, I'm sure Phil Coulson's left hand will have something to say
Oh
about
man, he's
that.
wielding that axe around like it is his prized possession.
He is very proud of the fact that his hand got cut off.
Well, I'm sorry, Phil Coulson's left hand. You're gonna have to deal. It saved his life.
It did.
Plug
I'm
your
sorry,
hand,
man.
Plug your hand ears.
Would you
Would
cover
that be
your
just
thumb?
crossing your fingers?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
don't
how
know,
that
maybe.
works? I don't know. But yeah,
Do one of these.
again, it's really nice because, hey, so we have a call coming in from a very special guest. Jeffrey, are you there?
Hey,
Hey, Jeffrey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you so much. Go ahead.
No,
go
please,
ahead.
Megan.
To those of you guys watching us live, on the line with us right now is Jeffrey Colo, the executive producer of Slingshot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It seems like everybody's really been liking it, and I saw some questions. I'd love to jump in because this was really a labor of love for all of us.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was. We were saying it was like a Christmas present. Especially because it was a surprise that we didn't know was coming.
It was such a sweet treat for all of us nerds to kind of see the what's going on in the background in the S.H.I.E.L.D. world. It was really well done, and we really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. It was it was actually a great opportunity for a lot of people because we had first-time directors. We brought Joe Quesada in. That was his first episode. That was his first directing debut. Was episode 1.
That I saw that earlier today, and I was like, "Wait, hold on. Did I read that correctly?" What went into that? Like, did he just say, "I want to direct something," and you gave him this, or did he see the project and go, "I want to do that"?
We knew that Joe had been looking for opportunities to direct, and obviously with his workload, it's difficult to really find an opportunity in time when he can carve out some time. And this was really a perfect fit because it was a small enough piece that he could step away for a few weeks and jump right in. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see the interviews with Natalia and Joe where they showed some of the storyboards that he did.
Oh no, I did not see that.
No, we basically rushed right into the studio as soon as we got done watching
if you go to ABC.com, actually you will see there's an interview with him and with Natalia. He storyboarded his entire episode like a comic. And of course, we're on set geeking out at these images that are so lifelike of our cast. And it was incredible having him on there. And then we gave opportunities to like Mark Kolpak, our visual effects supervisor, our post supervisor Chris Jeremy, our ADs Keith Potter and John Gordon, and we gave opportunities to our younger writers on the show to write these pieces. And
That's
all
awesome.
around, it was a real collective experience for all of us.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
What went into when you decided that you were going to do a web series? What went into the decision to give it to Yo-Yo and to make it a prequel?
Well, as you know, doing things that affect like the timeline, not only in S.H.I.E.L.D. but in the greater MCU, takes a lot of work. And we were looking for an opportunity, to have some content over the break, but something that really didn't affect the main storylines in the show too much, because it was all done very quickly. And frankly, I'm amazed that none of it leaked out, which is what was awesome. But it was finding something that didn't disrupt the timeline too much. And by going back in time, we had this huge gap of about what we're saying was 6 months between season 3 and season 4. And, we jumped into episode 1 of season 4, where everyone was already in disarray. We had the new director, and we were thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity to go back in time a little bit and set up a couple moments, like set up the Mac and Yo-Yo moment and the kiss and the date, and see things from a different perspective. And also taking a character that doesn't, like you were talking about, it's really hard to service all these characters when we have so many of them at one time. And again, this was a perfect fit for Yo-Yo and for Natalia.
Yeah, I think that was working with transmedia, and I always look at the MCU as sort of the greatest transmedia achievement
Absolutely.
that we've seen, just because it's so, between movies and TV, no other project has done
movies,
that.
TV, web series.
So when you get,
Netflix.
so when you get to this level, well, that's TV. When you get to this level, was this sort of something that you guys have been planning and working on for a long time?
Marvel and ABC have been looking for an opportunity to do something like this for a while, and it's just a question of when you do it, how you do it, how you fit it into a busy schedule like we have. And so all those factors kind of had to come together to make this happen. But yes, for a while, there's always been an interest in doing something like this and doing it right. Not just doing some supplemental pieces, but an actual storyline, in essence, an episode.
So can we talk about some of the challenges taking a longer form show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and condensing it down into several, into a 6-episode web series where it's anywhere from 3 minutes to 6 minutes long? How do you go about sort of shifting gears going from long form to short form?
There are factors like budget and time that affect. We had a little mini writer's room where the writers sat and they came up with ideas and pitched ideas to the EPs and went back and forth. And then there was the construct of budget and time. Our cast is shooting S.H.I.E.L.D., so it's when can we fit them in? When can we get their time in order to do these episodes? Because it was also shot by our own crew as well.
Which made it look like the show. If you put this next to the show, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, especially visually.
When you're describing
and that
it,
was the goal. The goal was that it should look as good as the show, and everybody from the crew and the cast and the producers and the writers and post-production, and we even got Bear McCreary to come in and score the music. Everyone went above and beyond to really deliver this top-notch series, and it's really exciting that it came out like this.
Yeah, when you were describing it as that kind of this huge collaborative effort between everyone, and a lot of people were stepping up or stepping into new shoes, it really shows that it was just kind of this big kind of supportive thing from the entire crew. Also, was there any worry about the break? You don't have Peggy Carter this year to kind of bridge in the winter break. Was that part of the push for this series?
And we didn't really think that way. It was just, like I said, there had been an interest in doing something like this, and it was trying to find out. It was all timing.
Yeah.
And then the timing was: do we release these episodes one a week or 2 a week, and then we thought, it's one kind of cohesive story. Let's put them all out at once.
Yeah, again, wonderful little Christmas treat for all of us here.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So we gotta ask some questions from the chat, and the big one that's going on right now. We hadn't gotten a chance to start talking about it between us. Everyone wants is trying to figure out the timeline for Daisy, and specifically her gauntlets. So can you clarify? That's just the whole chat roll is asking this question. So I feel like I need to and I'm going to pose it to Jesse and Megan as well. She has her gauntlets in this, but she doesn't have them in most of the time we're chasing her. Where do they get shed or thrown to the side?
Oh no!
We lost Jeffrey.
Oh no! So we will have to postulate that. We'll work on getting him back.
So Jeffrey, if you're hearing this, give us a call back. But so what do you guys think?
Personally, I think that she ditches them basically right after this because they have a conversation of like S.H.I.E.L.D. is tracking your quakes, and I feel like she probably either she pushes herself too hard at some point not long after this and breaks her gauntlets from like overuse of her powers and a lack of calibration, or she straight up goes, using S.H.I.E.L.D. technology, either A, they're going to come after me, or B, she, this is still when she's blaming herself for Lincoln's death, so she either ditched them for a practical reason to keep S.H.I.E.L.D. from following her, or to just punish herself because, again, she's not in a good place at this. She doesn't look like it right now, but she's not in a good place. All right, great. Jeffrey, are you still there?
I cut out at, like, the perfect moment.
We have a question from the chat. They want to know at what point in the timeline is this for Daisy because she still has her gauntlets.
Okay, well, she has two style of gauntlets, if you remember. She has the newer kind of chrome one. And so this happened so the present day takes place right after the winter finale, and the past takes place prior to the season 4 premiere when she had the older gauntlets. And we actually had to go back and remake new gauntlets for that.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
There you go.
So then she gets rid of these like soon after Slingshot takes place.
For the new ones, and actually there was something in the script originally. I love this. It's like deleted scenes. There was something where she did reference. We had a spot where she was having trouble and having pain with her hands, and Yo-Yo was saying, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, and it got cut for time.
Yeah, I mean that was sort of the implication when Yo-Yo offers like, "Can I help you?" That was setting up for this is where her Yo-Yo sneaking her meds thing started.
Yeah.
So I think the idea, to clarify for the chat, is that the gauntlets were not helping; they were hurting her just as much. So this is where she started to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Is that? Do I have it right there?
Does that help you out?
Yes. All right. So, chat, hope that clarifies things for you.
Talking about that, though, again, watching these, watching these all in a row, you were basically watching an entire episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., which made me really fully appreciate even more how much work goes into a regular episode. Because watching, 3 minutes of action and then taking a step back and going, wow, so much work went into putting, looking at the credits roll, so much work went into that 3 minutes of screen time. Sure. Yeah, it really makes you appreciate all of the hard work that goes into just a regular episode.
Absolutely. Like what I said, it was our entire crew.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Do you guys have any
you did mention, actually, I saw you were talking earlier about the scene with Mac and Yo-Yo and like he's kind of in darkness or whatever. And it was so funny when we were filming it because Henry's so tall. And so when Natalia would step into him to give him the kiss on the cheek, she'd be completely in shadow. And we even when we lit it, you still could see. I mean, it was towering. And in some of the takes where ones we didn't use, she's actually like she's going up on the top tips of her tongue to reach into him.
Somebody get Yo-Yo an apple box.
We need an apple box.
Please do.
S.H.I.E.L.D. brand apple box.
Yeah.
A little step stool, something. Make that process easier. Although speaking about that and talking about the scene with Quake sort of ending up on the cutting room floor, even though this was a very short form production, was there anything that ended up on the cutting room floor that was just absolutely heartbreaking to let go?
No, because it really wasn't about the creative decision for that was more along the lines of it was during like episode 5 where we had the action and we wanted to keep up the pace. So it was trimmed down to keep up the pace, not for time.
Yeah, I mean the web. You got all the time in the world.
Yeah, it was really it was really cool getting depth in Yo-Yo and Daisy's relationship, and also getting like the Agent Carter shout out as well.
Yeah.
Was really neat.
I lost it.
Yeah,
that was a really cool. It was such a small thing, but it carried so much weight with it. Not just like for the fun of fans, like seeing another one of our favorite characters referenced, but for Coulson to give that to Yo-Yo is a level of trust that we haven't seen afforded to her yet. She's just sort of been, she shows up when she's when she's needed. This was our chance to see behind that and see like it was like a big olive branch from Coulson. Like, no, you are not only trusted, you are wanted here.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
I have to say too, because I also covered Carter when it was on, and our writers James and Charlotte Alvar, who wrote episode 1, we knew that we wanted a meaningful scene with Coulson, and he has his tchotchkes, and it was like what could he have that he could give her that's meaningful, and they came back with this idea of the S.H.I.E.L.D. pin and then tying it to Carter, and it was like brilliant. I totally geeked out.
Yeah. No. And again, it was like just the fact that we know how much the history of S.H.I.E.L.D. means to Coulson. And so you really do feel the emotion behind that. And it was a great character building moment. But we get a lot of that in this. And we get to see Elena interact with characters that she usually only kind of gets to have sort of cursory interactions with on the regular show. I want to ask everybody here, Jeffrey included, which one was your favorite interaction that we got to see? Because I really loved the interaction she had with May. I thought that one stood out for sure.
I like that she was the Breakfast Nook origin story.
Yes, that's my favorite. Yeah.
That was great.
That was pretty spectacular. How about you, Zach?
I mean, we already talked about it, but like my favorite was the Coulson and like the Coulson passing that moment, because it was like it seemed because it seemed like such a simple act on the surface. Yeah. But it was such a meaningful thing to do. It said a lot, and like it was. To me, like as somebody who's like worked on like similar web series for other series, like they usually limit who you get for these kinds of things. Like where like if you're lucky if you get one of the B-level characters from the main show. And this was Coulson's our guy. Like we got Daisy and Coulson, and they're all doing heavy lifting. Even if they're not there the whole time, they're doing work in this series.
Yeah, I honestly expected that we would meet a lot of unnamed S.H.I.E.L.D. technicians.
And interns.
S.H.I.E.L.D. interns!
That she would be interacting with.
We would finally know who that random person was in the dark days of, like empty S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys talk about, like the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who constantly remain in the shadows while the A-team gets the limelight?
Yeah, one of the... I was on House for the 8 years when new media kind of emerged, and we did I did a digital series. We called it an episode because it was a series that existed on the app at the time, which was the first, and it was an upstairs downstairs story just like that. It was like the nurses and the people in House's hospital you don't see. But in the end, it was always like, you want to see House, you want to see Cuddy, you want to see, and so. That's the tough part. Those can be really good stories, but you have to acknowledge the fact that everybody does want to see the big players.
Yeah. But at the same time, I actually feel like this is a really good jumping off point for anybody who hasn't gotten into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet. I can think of several people that I know personally that are new acquaintances that don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm going to send them the link to this miniseries and be like, here's your jumping off point, and then you guys should go and get caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah, my dad is a huge Agent Carter fan, Sorry, Pop, for outing you out as a nerd. And like he's having trouble getting into S.H.I.E.L.D. and I feel like this is something that will help him get in because it has a really kind of Carter feel to it. Like it was fun.
I see that.
It was fun but like with big emotional swings. Like they were swinging for big emotional stuff while still being fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I liked about it too, is because our show is so fast paced that we rarely have time to really slow down and pause. And I felt we had those opportunities here.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why the Fitzsimmons moment really hit for me too was this is a very dark story, especially within the timeline of what's taking place when the story begins in the flashback, which is why I felt like the Fitzsimmons moment was really kind of needed, especially in the middle, to kind of lighten things up a little bit.
Yeah, just them bickering over fun couple stuff.
Beatrice.
I thought it was Bridget.
Just like, Bridget. It was Bridget. You're right. TV. She's just like, no, don't.
I know that was, George Kitson was the writer for that episode. He did a great job, and yeah, it was and Ian and Elizabeth loved doing it, as you can tell.
Yeah, no, everybody just looks like they're both giving it all but having a great time while doing it. And I think probably one of the, it wasn't my favorite interaction, but one that I thought was really fascinating was getting to see her interact with Mace. Because at this point, nobody's quite sure what to make of this guy. And we know, because we're at where we're at in the series, we know that he probably shouldn't be trusted a whole ton. But like it's very interesting that of all the people he could be interacting with right now, it's Elena, the person who is probably the most skeptical of S.H.I.E.L.D. to begin with, and then with all of the added bureaucracy being brought into S.H.I.E.L.D., like she seemed like the perfect character to bring in for just this one shot during this transition.
Yes, it was perfect, and actually what was cool too is we're like, oh, we're going to do the actual signing of the Accords, and what does that look like, and what would it be, and you put that in Mace's hands, and it's going to be, tons of paperwork, and an eye scan, and a thumbprint,
and a really cheesy joke too that is lost on his audience.
Yeah, it was also just an interesting moment to see Mace interact with another Inhuman that doesn't know that he's an Inhuman, and it's like that kind of where she isn't trusting him and is like saying like you like kind of insinuating like you don't know how I feel because I'm an Inhuman, when he actually does, but he's still such a Boy Scout that he has to be like, yeah, of course, we'll get right on that. I'll send it up and we'll fill the proper paperwork. It's every boss that's never listened to you.
Yep. So Jeffrey, before we let you go, the thing that everyone wants to know, because we enjoyed this so much, are there any plans for future web series? And like obviously there's a lot of characters that we would love to see again, like the Marvel's Most Wanted series. Like, could that come back in web form, or is there something else that we can look forward to that you can tease us about? Or Disney...
this is Marvel. I can't tease anything.
Okay, good. We've asked the question, so calm down, guys.
This was a really exciting opportunity for a lot of us, and the hope is that there could be room down the line for more, and we'll have to see. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on a production schedule for a show that is really heavy. But it was a lot of fun doing, and let's hope there's more.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed for sure. And again, please give our heartfelt thanks to all of the cast and crew for pulling double duty to give us this, because again, it is the best Christmas present I think any of us could have asked for sure. Do you have any other upcoming projects that you can tell us about? Again, we know that Marvel keeps everything, a tight lid on everything. But if you have any other upcoming projects that you want people to know about, please let us know.
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. LMD, January 10th, 2017.
Oh, we
That's
know
pretty
it.
much all I can tease. But you guys wait until you see what's coming up in the next set of episodes.
Magic robots. I'm so excited. Well, do we have any other questions before we let you go?
No, just thank you again for reaching
Yeah.
out to us and talking to us. It's just, as a fan of Marvel in general, these are always treats for us.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could join.
No, again, the pleasure was all ours. Where can people go if they want to keep up with you?
I'm on Twitter at Jeffrey Colo.
Well, again, thank you so much, Jeffrey, for taking the time to join us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Have a great night. Okay.
That was fun.
that was so cool.
By the way, I have an LMD. I rewatched. Sorry, I'm adjusting my chair as I'm talking, so the camera's on me. I rewatched Doctor Strange, and I have an LMD theory that maybe at the end I can get to.
All right, let's get to that.
We're getting close to the end here,
Yeah.
so
But
yeah,
let's
go
finish
ahead.
talking about Slingshot, because there's like still a bunch of cool stuff.
There are.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even touched on the fact that she came face to face with not only her cousin's killer, but also the Watchdogs guy.
Yeah, the Watchdogs in the full Watchdog masks.
With a MacGuffin gun.
Yeah, that explodes people.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's not a good gun.
Or it's the best gun, depending
sure,
on how
yeah.
you look at it.
Is that based on like Asgardian technology?
I don't
The
know.
glowing.
It
I
didn't
couldn't
look,
decide.
You know, I kind of feel like oh gosh, it's escaping me right now, but like Hank Pym's tech company that was taken over by his protege.
Pymtech?
Yeah. Like I kind of feel like that's a gun they would have made.
Just
Right?
explodey gun.
There's no evidence that Pymtech was ever doing guns, although I guess the
I mean, he had that-
the
He had
Yellow
that-
Jacket had those big like hook
Well, he
gun
also
things.
had that
He
thing
also
that
had a gun
you know when
that
he shot
pin
it.
particles and shrunk people.
And and by shrunk people you mean turn them into tiny little blobs
giblets.
on the bathroom floor.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I don't know. It didn't look like it was any technology. I assume that, you know, in comic books they always talk about like once the seal is broken on super technology, it
Soon
could,
everybody's gonna have access.
yeah, it could have been like Stark tech.
You know
almost.
what?
Like,
You know what we forget
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
You know what we forget about sometimes when you know when Hydra was initially exposed, you know, and all of that stuff was leaked out to the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s patents were too.
Yeah.
So it could just very well be a watchdog going to WikiLinks or S.H.I.E.L.D. WikiLinks or whatever that's called in
Yeah.
the Marvel universe, and just looking up specs and going, yeah, I can make that.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've got a workshop.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure, or like it could have been Hammer Tech. Hammer Tech got used in Luke Cage, so it could have
Yeah.
been some
Or
Justin
it
Hammer
could be
stuff.
disgruntled S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, you know, like Blake, just hanging out in their garages making
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it could have been any number of things.
Yeah.
What else? Was good? I mean, the very beginning of this series, we picked up right after we just wrapped. Like,
Yeah, which was
from
cool.
last episode. So we see Daisy reintegrating into S.H.I.E.L.D. She's wiped off the eyeliner.
Yeah.
He's taking the chains off.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
So
Like
no
she's
more
still looking for any and all opportunity to just kind of keep to herself.
Yeah.
Too. And you know she's going in early to like get workouts in and training in. You can definitely tell that coming back to the team, it's still a process. It's still something she has to get used to and take time away from a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not the same place she left.
Also, I like how she was at S.H.I.E.L.D. Like she,
Yeah.
like I didn't really realize it till halfway through the scene, but I was like, oh, she shouldn't be in S.H.I.E.L.D. right now, and she's like hacking their computers and like doing stuff in S.H.I.E.L.D. while currently like Coulson is out searching for her, and she's back at S.H.I.E.L.D.
They say now.
Oh, no, this is the present day.
Oh, was that the present day? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
They make it clear, like they say
Okay.
present
But
day
I mean,
Okay.
she's still sneaking into the director's office
and hacking
just
into.
before like his morning scone comes in.
Yeah,
to
what
delete her
this was
watch text
so,
stuff.
Yeah, so
That's-
basically, oh sorry.
That's probably why I was confused. I was like,
Yeah.
Because the entire time I was like, they're tracking her watch. They would have known that there was a agent in that
Yeah.
warehouse when the Quinjet was landing.
Mac made a point about
basically,
that.
Basically, the point
Yeah.
was they
Yeah.
they were tracking it. all they had to do was look for it. Nobody had.
But it's just
nobody had
collecting
thought
dust
to look.
on a
for it,
server.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just them being proactive in removing it
Yeah,
and
for sure.
committing
Makes sense.
treason while they did it.
But to clear it up, like the stuff at the very beginning where we see Daisy like boxing with the punching bag and all that, that is present day, so just after the last episode.
I got
so,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just clearing up in case
you know
everybody
what's
else
weird
like,
to think
was
about?
confused.
While they're sitting here talking about this thing that happened so that they can quote unquote get their story straight, May's in a closet somewhere.
That is weird. to think about.
That's a real weird thing to think about right now. They're just chit-chatting and a robot duplicate of May is walking around, probably high-fiving people or whatever it is that robot duplicates do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another fun Easter egg that I didn't catch, other people caught it, and then I went back and I'm like, that's totally in there. Go to 312. If you saw me looking at the computer, that's because I was finding the time code.
double-checking it.
If you go into episode 1, 3 minutes 12 seconds into the episode, Stanley.
Yeah!
You can see Stanley.
It's in Coulson's box.
In Coulson's box of stuff.
Yeah.
Where he's moving out, like got fired from being a director.
Aw.
So the Watcher is a friend of Coulson.
Still present.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because of course he is. He has to be.
Yeah. Those of you in the chat, maybe you weren't listening to the after show at the top. We talked about Ross and the Raft as a consequence of not signing the Sokovia Accord.
We
Yeah,
did.
we did.
We made bad Red Hulk jokes.
Oh, I think they were good Red Hulk jokes.
They were jokes.
So we got to wrap out here. 'Cause
Yeah.
The studio's going to shut off the lights on us.
Yeah. Guys, do you have any final thoughts on this before we go into some really quick rapid fire predictions about the rest of season 4?
Just, I hope we get more of this. This was really nice. It was a nice Ender shadows to the Ender's game that is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I like that. That's a good
I
comparison.
have nothing to add to that. That was a great way
That was
to say
perfect.
it.
That was perfect. All right, let's get into some real quick predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Magic robots, it's going to be a thing.
Okay, so I rewatched Doctor Strange, and there's this brief interaction where they just talk about artifacts, and they say artifacts are inanimate objects that have been empowered by a very powerful spell.
Yeah.
Ada's an inanimate object. She's a thing that has then read the Darkhold. I'm thinking Ada is an artifact. She has been empowered
She
by a
is now,
super
yeah.
powerful spell. And like now has like something extremely powerful inside her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you think that the whole way we get this solved is getting a sorcerer in here? Not necessarily one that we saw in the movie, but just getting a sorcerer in here to be like, okay, we need to perform an exorcism on this robot.
Depending on how much they want to really lean into it's all connected, this would be a great opportunity to get what's her name? Monroe? Mother from the Runaways.
I know you're talking Minaru.
Minaru,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Because they teased her in like she's been cast. She was in Doctor Strange for like a minute.
The staff of one was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and then her daughter is a member of the Runaways, which we know is in active development at Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
So if they really are planning ahead, which I don't know that they are, because that's like real deep planning, especially because Runaways does not have an air date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be an opportunity.
That's going deep down into the rabbit hole, but like I like that.
I think maybe what might happen is Fitz and Simmons might science magic it out. Like they'll be like, oh, magic is just like a series of these algorithms, and we'll figure out these algorithms and quantumly do whatever we have to do.
Although, you know what'd be funny while the rest of the team is working on the magic robot and how to figure all that out? If Yo-Yo goes on another solo mission
Yep.
and saves the world while they're all dealing with the magic robot.
That'd be
Because she
great.
can run fast.
She can
very
run
good.
So
real
they're all
fast.
busy with the other things.
Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in and geeking out with us about this fantastic, as we said, little Christmas present. Zach Wilson, where can people go if they want to find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. And also check out, I have a bunch of shows coming back for the new year. Grimm returns January 8th. Will be our after show Sunday, January 8th at 5 p.m. And also Sci-Fi Weekly on Popcorn Talk with this guy right here, Jessica Klein. This Sunday, we are going to talk about Rogue One.
The number one.
Rogue One.
Last Sunday we talked about the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah, we did. It was an interesting. Jesse?
I almost threw myself off the moon. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number one. Yeah, come watch Sci-Fi Weekly. It's a really fun show.
I'm so sorry, guys. That is a special kind of hell having to watch that. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you guys made it through it. I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. Again, if you haven't already done so, go to iTunes, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. We love you guys, and thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next time.
January 10th.
Woo!
Be there.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.